Just move on up toward your destination. Though you may find from time to time.
As you know, in our last video, we dealt with the family chart and the ancestor chart, documenting primary sources, how to put everything together so that you're making detailed citations for people who would be following up your research. We're still dealing with the family history. Get your research log out. You know, you're gonna need your research log. You're gonna need your research log. If you didn't download it in the last video, make sure I have it in the description of this video as well. But you know, I looked through a lot of these old pictures and I wonder, like, how did we become African? How did we become black? You know what I mean? Like, who taught us this? You know what I mean? I've been studying for decades, you know, and it just, as you look through history, suddenly Indians became Negroes and African Americans and black. And then when I look at the pictures of the old universities, I see a lot of strange people in the crowd, you know, and it makes me wonder who was really funding the university. I mean, isn't that W.E. Du Bois over there? Or who is that dude standing next to him? You know, it just makes me wonder. A movement came, you know what I mean, to send us to Africa, to Liberia. Who told us we were black? What made us stop being Indians? You know what I mean? When did we stop being Indians? Not on paper or in history, but in our own households. It seems to me, as I evaluate history and I look through old photos, that there was an agenda that was pushed by people from within the tribes. There was, how should I put it? There was a hidden hand that seemed to be moving the councils and choices of the so-called Indians. Once proud black Indians, feathers up, tribe up, knowing their history, knowing their lineage and their family members and traditions. Suddenly one day, we woke up and everybody was from Africa. This video, we're going to be dealing with primary sources. Some people tell me, you know, I can't find my people in the census records, and I can only get back this far. So through my research, I found there's some other records that we can research. You know what I mean? And these are called the agriculture census, mortality census, veteran schedule, and the slave schedule. You know what I'm saying? I'm just looking through my notes, so forgive me for the noise. Just say the 1840 census was the first to document military service. You know what I mean? So, and in 1890, after the Civil War, they added a special veteran schedule. But the only thing about that is that it's, from what I've learned so far, is it's only Union soldiers enlisted on that schedule. You know what I mean? So, and then they also said that you can look on the agriculture schedule. You know, that's something about the land that was owned and livestock that may have been owned by your ancestors. As you can see on the screen with the veteran schedule, it'll show you, you can find, you know, widows, you know what I mean? So that would help in your search as far as tracing your genealogy. But you got to remember, with the first census in 1790, you know what I'm saying, it was more often based on the decision and views of the federal marshal. You know what I mean? More so than matter of fact, because there were no standard forms in 1790. So it says the earliest census were handwritten. So what I learned is it's better to view it on microfilm at your local libraries instead of viewing it online, because when you're viewing it online, you risk more confusion, you know what I mean? Because they have to transcribe the microfilms, you know. So the 1870 census, that was the first time the slaves were enumerated, you know what I mean? Kept track of, basically. It says in 1890 that census was supposedly burned though. But now you know that they have a 72-year rule mandate. It says mandated by law. So the census is only every 10 years starting from 1790. And it only goes up till 1940 because it has to be 72 years, you know what I mean, before they release it. It says to protect people's privacy. So it'll be 2022 before they release the 1950 census. So I just want you to keep in mind, you know what I mean? So yeah, 1940, that's the latest census to date. Now, sometimes, like, you know, people might have trouble, people not being listed, but you have to remember, some people thought that the census was a scam. Even back then, they thought it was a way to get taxes, you know what I mean? And also, you know, some people lived in remote areas, you know what I'm saying? So just, you know, exhaust all the local sources you can before you, like, work to hunt down the originals. From my research and that I'm learning now, like I say, this is an endeavor I'm undertaking with you, like we're doing this together. So hopefully, you know, it'll be something. I believe just having a sense of family and a sense of belonging, I think that'll help just instill a lot of strength amongst the community, you know what I mean? And that's what I really want to do. You know, we big Hawkin, so we want to do something positive, you know what I'm talking about? So if I can help anybody, you know, identify where they come from, find out their real ancestry. I mean, I know how important that is, you know what I mean? So, because I'm working on it myself. And like I say, it's Hawk School, we learning together, and we just gonna keep on hawking, you know what I'm saying? Above it all, too high for pigeons to fly, you know what I'm talking about? Now, I just wanna briefly just run over something I found on the State Library site, you know, that gives a little extra help with analyzing the census when you're studying it. Remember, go to the library, you know what I mean? Start at your local library, go look at the microfilms for free, you know, and see what you could track down locally before you know, get to making trips and trying to track down original. And like my brother Farrell said, shout out to Farrell, you know what I'm talking about, public records, you know, these records are free. So you have a right to this. But anyway, it talks about the 1870 census. It says it's important for those researching formerly enslaved ancestors, as it is the first census many will appear in. As with those who were free during the time of slavery, more than 30,000 in North Carolina. Race listed on the census was based on appearance and often changed from year to year. It's common to see African Americans listed as white and vice versa. So now this is the State Library site, and they're admitting that the census, you know what I mean, it was based on how you appeared. This is how we became Negro, how all these Indians became Negroes and mulattoes. It's also important to be aware that surnames may differ than what you know them as in later years. Although some were formerly enslaved, kept their surnames upon freedom, some also changed their surname. It said it was more common for surnames to change before 1870, but some waited a bit longer. So remember that, you know, names is changing. That's why I say you got to keep tight records. It also was talking about, potential problems here. Like I said, I'm just reading this off a website, but, you know, some of these people kind of nerdy and square, and I don't think most people could stay awake through their presentation. So we're going to give it to them, you know what I mean? How we do, narration for the nation. Now it says, with all census records, there are a few issues that may cause trouble in finding individuals. One of the biggest problems is with the spelling of names. Things that can affect spelling include accents and literacy of the enumerator. Some things may seem straightforward, like Brown, but they could still be enumerated as Brown, B-R-O-N-E, Braun, B-R-O-N, B-R-A-W-N, or Brun, B-R-U-N. So be sure to check the spelling variation. But I don't want to make this video too long. Like I said, I'm not making this to act like I'm super thorough or no shit like that. This video is, this series of videos is strictly to help everybody else who's interested in their genealogy as I am, and most of our subscribers are. This is just to give you a few aids and you know, a video you can play back and remember what you got to do. So make sure you citing your sources, make sure you're getting your photocopies, you know what I mean? Go get a library card, man, and check out the microfilms channel. Don't forget to come through. We're gonna be lit, you know what I'm talking about? That's gonna be 7 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. We're going live. So like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Right on to the real. Peace to the tribes.
Whatever, then I'm wrong. You got me now. You got me now. You got me now. Oh, you figured me out. You fucking nincomb fucking poop. You figured me out. You got me red-handed. You got me red-handed.
Toward your destination.